What's up, guys? It's Caleb. Just a quick note. A few months back, we did a survey in the Discord about whether or not we should start running ads on the show. Almost unanimously, you guys were supportive of it, and we're really grateful for that. So this is our quick heads up to you that you're going to start hearing the occasional ad on the show going forward. That said, we know ads are super annoying, and if you don't want to hear them, there are a couple things that you can do. First off, if you hear the sweet slow jam starting to play, that's our heads up to you that we're about to run a couple ads. You can safely skip ahead without missing anything. Secondly, you can always subscribe to the premium feed over at patreon.com/Western Kabuki, and that feed is going to remain ad-free now and forever. The revenue that we generate from this is going to be used in a number of ways to make better material for you guys. Everything from, maybe paying people to help us with research more often, expanding our reach, and collaborating with other content creators. So it's definitely a big deal for us, and it's going to help us grow pretty significantly. So thank you so much for helping us out. And if you've been with us since the beginning, you're the greatest, and we appreciate you so much. Enjoy the slow jam.
I'm really excited for this one because I have not watched the video yet, and because I know like the essentials, but I feel like I'm about to learn so much detail. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, I didn't know how the depth of some of this stuff until I started researching it. Honestly, I was kind of blown away at how much this one man has done over the course of his life.
Yeah, no, I am. We were talking right before you got in. I thought this was just going to be like a slap on the wrist, like what's happening to him. But it sounds like he's kind of fucked.
Oh, he's going to jail.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah,
he's going to jail.
It's never been more over.
No question. Which I'm sad about. I'll miss him.
Same.
I don't think he belongs in there.
No, I think he belongs on a podcast with Rachel Dolezal. It's the only comparable entity that I've found to George Santos so far.
That's pretty good. That worked.
I would pay for that. He has a real opportunity here. He should get on Cameo because I think she was on there for a little bit. I don't know.
Well, she was also on OnlyFans.
Oh, that's true. Another thing he should get on, honestly.
Yeah. We already know he's a customer of several OnlyFans accounts.
Yeah, despite pretending he didn't know what it was on Fox. I'm sure you saw that.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
How do you not know?
It's just George said, I guess we're rolling now, so I can just get this out. George Santos, as I was doing my research for this, and I knew obviously, Jarber, this is your thing. I wanted to know just enough to ask the right questions, but it became very clear to me immediately that trying to pin down any sort of ontological truth with George Santos is completely pointless. The man exists in a realm between time and truth. It's his own thing.
Yeah. Pretty much.
He lied about OnlyFans just to lie. We all know, what it is.
Yeah. No, half of his lies, because he lies all the time, most of them are not for any material gain. Really, the vast a lot of
the game.
Just because he likes it. Yeah, he
and
loves
so many
lying.
of them are so high stakes and so easy to prove wrong that it is genuinely.
I know. They're all so easy. That's why the second he becomes a congressman, they look into it, immediately find that he's lied about everything. I mean, this is not hard stuff to find out. One of the things that he said that obviously he said the stuff about his mom and 9/11, which is I feel like a pretty easy thing to prove right off the bat. But he also egregiously said that 4 of his employees for a business that he doesn't name, died in the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida. God. And that was immediately none of the victims you can look into, they don't have any ties to any business that George
even that was fucked up because he was they were my employees and he was of a business, and then he was well, they were campaign staffers, and then it's what, why are you, which is it, George? What are
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
He's the most like, other than Donald Trump, he's like the closest we've gotten to like a real Donald Trump type successor.
Yes,
like so many politicians try to emulate the Trump style. Like we saw Ron DeSantis kind of try to do that. He would do like the hand motions, he would do like the cadence. But George Santos, he's living it. He's the only one that's like living like Donald Trump.
Santos has the juice. I still think Kanye has a bit of the juice left in him.
Oh my God.
I don't think he's done, but I think there are.
Is he even still running for president? Like that was like a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he still?
Wack, you sound a little hot. I'm wondering if you could turn your mic down.
Sorry. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. And we are Western Kabuki. We are talking about George Santos with a friend of the show. Welcome back, J. Aubrey. How we doing, job?
We're doing good. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
We're so happy you could make it the day you're releasing your George Santos video. We can discuss the terrifying man that is George Santos. Before we,
in my opinion, the best politician to ever do it. He's just the greatest.
Yeah,
he's the best.
No one comes close.
He's American Doug Ford. He's got that swagger.
That's so, God damn it, you're so right about that.
If somebody confronted him about smoking crack, he would be like, probably, I don't know.
And then they would pull up receipts, a video of him doing it, and he'd be like, I just found out about crack. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, he's up there. He's like our wacky guy. A lot of countries have their wacky guys. They've got Italy's got Berlusconi. Canada has the guy I just said. But
Doug Ford.
Yeah, Doug Ford. Yeah, and his brother who's still alive and in politics. But yeah, we have George Santos, who I'm not even sure was born in this country.
Well, so that was like a whole part that I was like really struggling on, like whether or not to like how to include that in the video, because when I started researching like just like where he came from, I found that like he was born in Queens. He says he's born in Queens, but he also calls himself like a first generation immigrant. And there's some definitions that I've seen of first generation that are like, you were born abroad. And then came to America, but he still called himself first generation despite being born here. And that was like a whole issue where like Vice News like asked his campaign about it. They were like, so, okay, the definition by the Harvard, Institute of Immigration and the Census Bureau all lists first generation immigrants as being born abroad. So does that mean George Santos was born abroad? And their response was, yes, he's a first generation immigrant. And then they were like, oh, okay, I guess that clears it up. And then later they corrected their answer and were like, oh, actually, no, let's be clear. First generation can also mean someone born in America to first, generation parents, to immigrant parents. And that's George. So it's like they were given this definition of first gen being someone born abroad, and then just decided to change their mind after agreeing to it. And that was like a whole, so it's still pretty unclear, like what the whole situation is, why he went with that label, when that's not completely the agreed upon definition. I don't know. It's all, everything about him is like, there's like a debate on,
well, I think that goes to the theme of the entire, like close to a year that we've gotten to know George Santos, is he loves to spread the truth really thin. He loves it more than anything.
Oh yeah. He's a big fan.
He lies. That's his whole thing. He lies for the love of the game. It is entirely for sport in his eyes. He has.
He's good at it.
He's very good at it. I mean, you said it in your video, Aubrey, but it's like, like there's not. You can't really be sure 100% of any part of his biography. We know he did not graduate high school or go to
college. Did not go to college. Respect, absolutely.
Didn't go to college or
yeah, he's self-made.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, you know, kind of.
I mean, he's in Congress. We are. Like, I mean, you got to put some respect on that name.
This is another thing that I thought was interesting. It's like, I feel like the fact that he really did, like, I mean, of course he did it by scamming people the entire way through, but he did, it's not like he came from money. He did not have like a degree from high school or college, but he still made it to the House of Representatives. I feel like that could have been the story that he used instead of being like, oh yeah, you know, I worked on Wall Street. My family owns like all these properties, making up all these very obvious lies. He could have just said that and more people probably would have been like, oh, wow, you know, like respected him a bit more, but I don't know.
Didn't he win a traditionally Democratic seat as well?
Well, the thing that's interesting about that is the whole reason he won that election, because he ran for it in 2020 and he lost pretty easily. Well, not super easily. It was pretty narrow. But when he ran again in 2022 is because 6 months prior to the election, they decided to change the district lines of where he was running. And so, yeah, so it was a more Republican area, and he was already the nominee. So he just kind of won by default. That's literally how he.
So he was like Madison Cawthorn, and we see what happened to Madison Cawthorn.
They assassinated Madison Cawthorn, and
he got too close to the truth.
Yeah, he was.
They got him with cousin fucking videos.
That was crazy when they dropped that. Holy fuck! And he was gay too. He was another gay Republican.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities I was thinking between him and Madison Cawthorn.
Now he is also being like they're having gay orgies in the Republican
I know.
thing. And it's like, bro, I know you've got worse videos than humping your cousin. I know you do, George.
Yeah, that was the warning shot. They posted his IP address with that video.
I struggle to think of anybody who could be in the position that somebody like George Santos is that doesn't have just some horrible blackmail material on him. That's
why he's the future. He'll have a redemption arc and become president because, like, what at this point could he be canceled for? It's all out there.
He's been canceled for everything.
Yeah.
He really has, except for being homophobic. That's like the one thing he can't be canceled for.
Oh, and he is very homophobic, but he's
gay.
Well, he said he supported like the Don't Say Gay bill, Ron DeSantis.
Yeah,
and then later after that, he was like, actually, Ron DeSantis is pretty homophobic, and I don't agree with his motivations behind the bill, but I still support the bill. So it's
awesome,
like,
God. Oh my God. Okay, so he is. So I guess we can cancel him for that.
Right.
When I first was like putting together the whole thing, I like went to his Wikipedia page and I didn't realize he was sworn into Congress in this calendar year. It was in January. That he was sworn in.
Yeah, we're just getting started to know him. This is just an intro this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely villainous homosexual, can't help but lie, drag queen, identity thief, child purchaser, and congressman. I do have an image here of him as a drag queen and one of him with his husband, who only got produced once George was.
This isn't photoshopped, by the way.
No. They're at like a wedding.
So the Good Vibes t-shirt is real?
Yeah. No. I mean, I erased the background of it, but yeah, no, the Good Vibes shirt is real.
Good vibes.
Wait, is that him behind him?
Yeah.
Yes, that's George behind him.
Photo?
This is another episode, guys, where you're gonna need the slideshow, and I'm gonna forget to post it, and you're gonna yell at me in Discord. So
this photo is probably within past 5 years, I would think.
Yeah,
because he looks so much different there.
He just looks like he's just a boy.
Yeah.
He actually he bears a very strong resemblance to my good friend. So shout out Mike. I was like looking at all these pictures and just sending him pictures of George Santos today. Yeah. So shout out.
Honestly, he kills the drag.
The drag is a really good look. Yeah. The drag is a good look.
He would be a great performer, I feel like.
I don't know about the drag blackface that seems to be going on here, but
I didn't want to mention that. I don't know what the hell is happening.
So this is
I've never seen that picture.
So this is an image I pulled from the New York Post. So if that's not him, the New York Post put it there as if it was. So I don't know what that is all about.
Oh man, it's a real chicken or egg scenario.
I don't know. I'm not taking responsibility for that photograph though.
It like kind of looks like the same outfit. So like,
It's
you know
similar.
what? We can, confirmed it's him.
Well, yeah, exactly. It wouldn't surprise. It's fair to just at this point assume that if you're not sure, it's probably I mean, like that's
the official position of Western Kabuki is that we cannot confirm that George Santos has done blackface.
Also, before we move on, I just want to confirm that you're going to address the child purchaser bit. I don't know what that means.
Okay,
what is child purchaser?
Yeah, actually, I don't have a ton on the child purchasing thing either. Aubrey, not much in your video either.
Me,
where he said,
I didn't see anything about it.
Where somebody stopped him in the hallway,
baby?
With the baby. And
I did bring that up. Unfortunately, I could not find. People have told me that there is a video of that interaction where he's like going down the hallway. This was right as he's like screaming at these like anti-Israeli protesters. You know,
I remember that.
That's got to
be part off on them, going off.
But he's and he's also carrying a baby at one point, and the reporter asks him, "Whose baby is that?" And he is
that your baby?
Is that your baby? And he says, "Not yet." Yeah.
What a crazy thing to say. Not yet. Also, why does that feel like it happened 7 months ago?
It was like 2 weeks ago.
There's new developments with him every day. You know, so it just feels like an eternity.
There's a new that's why he's so much like Donald Trump. There's like a new George Santos thing every other day.
Every day you wake up and go online and you get a concussion from something, and it's usually George Santos related.
At this point.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see a resurgence if he does get expelled from the House. I mean, you mentioned Trump just now. How hilarious would it be if he disappeared from the House and then a couple months later Trump announces him as his VP?
Oh God!
Holy shit! Most
landslide.
Powerful.
He is he's a picture perfect Trump press secretary, though. He would make absolute perfect Trump press secretary in Trump's second term.
Which would also be funny because he'd only last like 4 or 5 months, and then they'd beef, and Trump would make fun of him, and that would be chef's kiss.
Their beef would be amazing if that happened.
See, I have a lot of trouble picturing a Trump second term, because I know every time I think of a person associated with the Trump campaign, I think about their legal issues that they were thrust into.
Yeah, they're like all testifying against him now.
It's like so weird. It's like
they've all flipped.
Even like thinking of, it's like, oh yeah, George Santos would be the press secretary for 5 months, and then ... he would be testifying in Congress about how he capitulated to Trump's demand. Like, that's the way they all went. Like,
who else is left? Who
I don't know.
I don't know.
I keep thinking about the 24 election, and people are like, Trump's definitely going to win, and it's definitely going to be fascism from then on. And I just can't feel that way, because I just remember what happened before, and it was so stupid. They were so bad at everything. I don't know. But anyway, back to this man. I broke it down between his lies that aren't criminal and those that are.
Okay, I like the slide here. The background is
good. So he claimed he went to the Horace Mann School, which is a prestigious private school in the Bronx, but he actually dropped out of a public high school and got a GED. He lied about playing.
Which again, respect.
He lied about playing on a college volleyball team at Baruch College, where he did not attend and has never played college volleyball.
there's an extensive clip of him on a podcast talking about how he like slayed Harvard and Yale on the volleyball team at Baruch. And the podcast host is like, "Oh my God, I went to Baruch too." And he's like, "Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, the professors are great. You know, they're a little woke, but it's like, you didn't go."
Well, easy to see how quickly he slips into the skin of another person. Just
no hesitation.
He's a perfect Zelig.
So he like literally just made that up to impress podcasters.
Think so. And he went into detail talking about how he needed to get like knee replacement because of how like hard he played.
Would have gone pro in men's volleyball if it hadn't been for that knee.
Again, this is so easy to like verify. Like we could find this information out
for free. We can find the information out for free. The college will tell us,
which makes me kind of like wonder how fucking inept are the New York Democrats to have like just never Googled this fucking guy. Like, what the fuck happened there?
That's one of the reasons that he got away with it for so long. It could have been exposed in 2020 when he ran the first time, but Tom Suozzi, who was the incumbent that he was running against, specifically decided not to like prioritize like looking into his past, because that would have wasted like money and resources in his mind, and like he figured he was just going to win anyway. And at that point, George Santos was like fringe enough that nobody really knew who he was. So it's like, oh, who cares? You know, it's a left-leaning district. We don't need to look into this stuff. The only thing they found at that time, and maybe you bring it up on the slide or on the PowerPoint, is they found out that he did not live in the specific district that he was running for.
That's the one rule. That's the one fucking rule, bro.
Yeah. They confronted him about that, and he just gave the address of his treasurer, who then flipped on him years later in one of the finance cases.
Dude.
One of the things that I find really bizarre is, so he was elected in November, as everyone always is, and then the first like big story about him came out in the New York Times in December, like mid-December, if I remember correctly. And everybody's response to it was like, "Where the like, we know these stories are months in the making. You have to double and triple check them. You have to get multiple confirmation for every fact. What the fuck were you guys doing that you let this happen after the election? You never would have won."
Yeah.
And then
It's
the
crazy.
New York Times it was like really, I mean, Michael Barbaro, every time the New York Times does something terrible, shows up to say some fucking fuck ass bullshit. But he was just like, "This is why it's really important you support your local newspapers." And I was like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You are the local newspaper. You're the New York Times.
But that it just really underlines, maybe not like with the media, of course, too, but with like specifically the New York Democrats are just so bad. They're so bad. They're one of the worst like Democratic state parties out there right now.
It's the most powerful Democratic parties, the New York and California. They're just the most like corrupt bullshit fuck ass motherfuckers who can do whatever they want. And Chapa just had on a state rep from Delaware. They have the same issues, and I've done like volunteer work and like paid canvassing for the Delaware Democrats. It is like you can see them like doing like corrupt bullshit as like a volunteer if you're just listening to what they say to each other. It's just these places the Democrats just behave like feudal lords.
I mean, Delaware is like notorious for its like the financing. It's like a financier state, right? Like that's where a lot of like the super
corporations
like the
are
most
filed there.
Corrupt.
I believe this podcast is filed there, if I'm not mistaken.
Just the eastern coast Democrats. They're pretty shitty.
Yeah. So George Santos also lied about having worked on Wall Street, which is insane because he claims he was taken out of the Horace Mann School. Again, he didn't attend it, but he said he was taken out of the Horace Mann School because of the 2008 financial crisis, but then went to school and then went to go work for Goldman Sachs and Citibank. But also none of that happened. So he lied about something that didn't happen.
Again, that's like something we could find out.
Bad.
Like
we have found out worse about people on this show. Like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ! It's like I stopped laughing while we're talking about this because it's like the level of ineptitude is just honestly fucking astounding. It really is staggering.
finding out who
Yeah, I mean,
worked
it's
at
just
Goldman
you can
Sachs
literally
is like, yeah, you can do this so easily. Anybody can do any of this.
You can do anything. You can lie about whatever and then still make it to the, the House of Representatives, and people just won't ask questions until you're already in office. Like, they're not gonna ask questions if you're not like high profile. Like, it's sad, that it's became this. The fact that he was able to make this a reality for himself, like just create this whole life, and people were just like, just believed it because he said the right things and hung out with the right people. It's shocking, but also not shocking.
He's that friend that just shows up in your friend group that like nobody knows who invited him. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden you realize this person's been hanging out with your friends for like 4 months and you can't trace the genesis. Like, where the heck did that come from?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyway, Horse Man.
Yeah, his founding of the charity. So this is the charity stuff is something I wanted to sort of cover. I only put a couple sentences here about it, Aubrey, but the charity stuff he claimed to have founded. Do you remember what the name of the thing was? I didn't write it down here.
Well, it was Friends of Pets United. It was a pet charity, and it was his charity, quote unquote charity, because it wasn't actually registered with anything. Like it was not a registered charity. And now it's very hard to find like any remnants of it existing online, like any social media posts. You can find some. The New York Times found like a Facebook post. They've done events. Like they've done events with like certain like pet businesses. And then George has aided in all these like adoption events, and then in many instances, he just keeps the money from the pets that were sold, and just takes it. Instead of it going to a charity, it goes into his bank account. So that's
very cool thing to do.
Oh yeah.
One especially cool thing he did was with a veteran, whom he approached and said he was going to help his sick dog get cancer treatment. And he started a GoFundMe, and then he kept the money, and then the dog died.
Yeah, it's really sad that one, because this guy he was a homeless Iraq veteran.
No fucking way.
Yeah, and his dog had like a lump, and he took the dog to the vet. Sapphire was the name of the dog, and they stuck him with a $3,000 bill. Yeah, and so
noted dog murderer George Santos.
Literally though. And then he hit. All of this comes out, and he's like, "I'm not a dog murderer," and he provides no evidence for it. So his counter argument to most things is just, "Nuh-uh," It's like, no,
that dog died of natural causes. I'll have you know.
He just refused to give him the money for like 5 months. Like the guy tried to like get other people's attention, but George just kept coming up with excuses, as he would often do throughout like his time at the charity. He would just come up with all these complicated like lies. Like for instance, he said that he couldn't get he was like very strict on where the dog could be treated. Like this guy he lived in New Jersey, but George Santos made him drive to New York to go to his own preferred to his own vet, and then so he had to get like the dog scanned there. And then that was like another charge.
Wait, the guy lived in New Jersey, so he wouldn't have been one of George's constituents. He just did this for a guy.
No. He was introduced to George through a vet tech in New Jersey, according to him.
Why did he do this for somebody who wasn't in his district? What the fuck? What is this?
This was before he was. This was before he was like running for. This is 2016.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's an insane thing to do. Regardless, it's a crazy scam to pull.
I love how he was like, no, you got to go see my dog guy.
That's literally what happened. And he was also like, "Oh, I'll pay for the gas. I'll pay for the travel expenses. Like, no, don't worry about it." So he travels all the way up there, and of course, George does not pay him back for any of the gas money or toll roads.
He takes his fucking money. Crazy, dude.
Yeah, he just never got the money. The dog died months later. And,
Jesus.
That's what happened. And I also think it's worth mentioning, I don't know, again, if you bring it up in a second, but just on the topic of the pet charity, he do you mention like where he got the animals from?
Okay. So no, I didn't. Okay. I did want to talk about that though, because I want to actually talk a little bit about where he got those dogs from.
Yeah. No, I think it's worth bringing up because I didn't know this until I was like well into making the video.
This is actually a community of people that comes up a lot on this show. The Amish come up a lot on this show.
An old friend. Yeah. The Amish. Friend of the show, Amish. So there are reports, so there's this Amish farmer in Pennsylvania who has told CNN that George Santos visited his ranch like around 2017 to purchase some puppies that he was selling. And he ended up writing like $15,000 worth of checks to this farmer, and immediately the farmer is like suspicious because he's like, okay, I normally don't take checks. I don't think I can't take this check because I don't know if it's legit.
I don't take checks for dogs.
Yeah, well, it's also worth noting that George Santos has also he's had to. It pled guilty basically in a settlement, for fraudulent checks in Brazil back when he was like 20. So he's written fraudulent checks in the past. Yeah,
this guy's been familiar with the court for like a decade. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's very familiar. And so with this, like the guy was like, oh, I don't know if I can take your checks, but at that point George already had the dogs in his car, and so the farmer was like worried that he's just gonna drive off with the dogs and not get paid at all. So he just decided to take the check, and then of course the checks bounced, and he never got the money. He never got the $15,000. So George literally just stole puppies from this guy,
felony dog fraud,
and then sold them through his charity, and then kept the money from the charity, according to the businessman, the business owner.
Ripping off Amish guys, I gotta say, based. Pretty cool to do that.
Well, it's funny, like in the news report, like with CNN, they literally pulled up a picture of George Santos, like his congressional photo, and they were like, "Is this the man that ripped you off?" And he's like, "Yep, I believe that's him."
But even in that clip, the Amish guy has his back turned because they can't be photographed. So
is that true?
Yeah. I didn't know that's like one of their things is they don't do photos. Wow. So yeah, it's very it's very smart to rip off the Amish because what are they gonna do? What are they gonna?
Come on, he did get charged for check fraud after that in 2017.
He did,
but the charges were dropped because he told prosecutors that he worked for the SEC, which is obviously not true.
Wait, no way. So he got
and it works.
Okay, hold on.
It works.
Yeah,
it works.
He's just rolling crits on charisma checks every day.
Yeah.
So wait, he got caught in a lie and then got away with that lie by saying another lie.
Yeah, like another.
And they're like, "Oh, dog, sorry. Okay, well you're good here. Yeah, we're not going to verify that one."
Let's break this down to its core. He got out of canine fraud from writing a felony bad check by lying and saying he worked for the SEC.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking!
And then he also said that the checkbook was stolen. Those were the two things. And he had his friend who was a lawyer.
It wasn't me writing those bad checks to those Amish guys.
It wasn't me, even though this is a thing I've done, before. Couldn't have been me. They dropped the charges out. They just believed it, and they didn't bother to look and see, oh, hey, this guy doesn't work for the SEC. Maybe he's lying to us. They just went with it.
He literally reminds me of like the podcast The Dollop. Like he's like a Dollop character from like the 1830s, but he's just able to get away with the exact same scams a guy in 1830 was. But he's a current congressman with the internet.
This guy, if in a different timeline, he would have been like a great early prankster YouTuber, like a Fousey Tube type of guy.
Like a 2012 YouTuber.
Yeah, he would fucking kill it. He had two paths. He took the one where he became the congressperson that's probably going to jail.
$1 Million Extreme would still be on television if he had taken a slightly different path.
He would have been on there. He would have been like a special guest.
Yeah.
He reminds me of I've played through the game Disco Elysium multiple times, and if you haven't played through it, essentially it's like a dialogue-based game, and that you have to pass dice checks to advance the story. And if you want to, after you've played the main story, what I did was I installed a cheat that made me automatically pass all my dice rolls so I could see things I didn't get through my original playthrough. And that's what George Santos is. He's just constantly passing these checks. Somehow he's getting away with it. He's on cheat mode. There's no fucking way he should have gotten away with any of this.
Especially the SEC. We're hardly scratching the surface yet. But how the fuck did he get away with the SEC lie?
Yeah, if you're afraid to lie on your resume, remember all of this. Like nobody fucking checks
These are not
shit.
the criminal lies yet. We haven't gotten to the crimes yet. These are just
exactly.
mostly
Yeah, this is just the fun
petty
stuff.
fraud
You know?
and just white lies mostly.
These are just the for fun ones. These are the goofy ones.
He didn't have to do any of this. He just for the game, the love of the game, and I respect it.
So I understand why you didn't say it too much in your video, Job, but the whole thing about him maybe not being gay.
There's speculation on that, which I can't attest to. I wasn't going to do that in the video, but yeah, he was married to a woman. I don't know how many people know that, if that's super common knowledge at this point or not, but he was married to a woman from Brazil for a long time. And then, and then he didn't divorce her until 2019, but there is evidence, and a lot of his ex-boyfriends say that he was still going out with guys before he legally divorced his wife. So there's that. And then, there was an investigation. I don't know. I need to check and see if anything ever came from it or if it's still ongoing, but there was an investigation into whether or not he broke immigration law by marrying her, just so she could get status because she's from Brazil. And one of his friends who's gay told the media that George was trying to convince him to also to marry just a Brazilian woman because there's money to be made in that, quote unquote. He's
always on the grind. He's literally always fucking grinding.
He wakes up grinding. He does not clock out. He is.
I'm gonna find him on LinkedIn, dude. I'm gonna add him right now. He's got hustle and grind tips.
So he said, he was married to a woman. He claims that wasn't fraud. It's very funny to watch interviews with him, and I've watched several today because they are all contentious. Every single interview, journalist, no matter how right wing, no matter how bought into the far right Republican narrative, none of them can just be like, yeah, but you did say that you were. You went to college there, right? You said that, right? And so with the married thing, his quote was, they're like, you were married to a woman, so what's up there? And he says, I'm okay with my sexuality. People change. I'm one of those people who change.
See, he's right, though.
He's not.
That's the most. People can change. He's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
did he do? I'm confused. Did he do conversion therapy here or reverse conversion therapy?
It's.
I guess it would be reverse, maybe,
No, he became gay because there was no more money in being straight.
There's a lot of money in being gay.
He couldn't grind the straight life anymore.
Oh yeah.
How come I never see you at the club anymore? How come I never see you at the bathhouse?
He's genuinely my favorite politician of all time. I love him.
I'm gonna be so mad when they kick him out.
Same.
Tomorrow. It's supposed to happen tomorrow.
I've been saying this for a while, and I know other people.
We should do our own J6 over this. I'm not kidding. I'm fucking going.
Stop the steal.
I'll get arrested.
I'll be at the White House.
Yeah. I'll bring my buffalo hat,
I know I've been saying this for a bit, and other people have been saying this is even if we kick him out, we should just keep him around as a little jester. He should be a modern court jester. He's so good. He'd be the perfect jester.
Yeah, what was that little pervert that Jabba the Hutt kept around that laughed? Salacious Crumb. That was Salacious Crumb. Yeah. He should be America's Salacious Crumb.
Yes. I'd vote for him.
Yeah. Who he would sweep if that was what he was running for. No question.
I think in the like popular mimetic conception of like, well, we shouldn't put Trump in jail. We should just make him the king, and he has no official power or whatever. Like, if Trump was king, George Santos is the court jester of Trump's imperium. He is the fool for all of us.
Yes.
He did lie about
100%.
both 9/11 and the Holocaust. He claimed his mother died on 9/11 and then related to 9/11.
Big ones, man.
Yeah, he changed his lie about 9/11 a few different times because, again, it's a very easy thing to prove. Like, okay, his mother clearly who we know her name. Like, she was not any of the victims on that day. And so once that was proven, he decided to change his mind and was like, well, she was still in the tower, but she died of cancer, like related to the tragedy.
Which is even better documented than the people who died, because those people survived. They could fill out paperwork.
Yeah, they've been around for like a couple more years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they found out that she was not in the country at all.
She was not
on 9/11. She was in Brazil from 1999 at least to 2003, I believe, because from her own like visa application, she states that she's unable to get into the United States because she had her I think it was her green card stolen in Brazil. And this was like months before 9/11 happened. So there was no way for her to be in the country by her own words, like this is her saying this.
And then
she has no respect for her grindstone.
Exactly. That's one way to look at it. Exactly.
And then when George was confronted with all of those facts, he claimed he never said that. He claimed that he never said that she died at 9/11. I never said her death had anything to do with 9/11.
That is such a lie. It's just, there are tweets like from 2 years ago of him saying.
Even more well documented. His lies about it are more documented than anything else.
Yeah. Exactly.
He claimed his grandmother died in the Holocaust. She didn't, and he even invoked her memory on the floor of Congress on Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Oh. Jesus.
No.
Christ.
Okay, didn't he once say that he was like? Didn't he? Okay, so he claimed to be Jewish.
Yes, this is my favorite line, by the way.
Yes, yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I'm Jewish," and then I think he cited his grandmother, and then they were like, "Wait, no, none of that's true." And then he was like, "No, I didn't say I was Jewish. I said I was Jewish."
Yes, which I don't think he's allowed to make that joke. I don't think he can say that.
No, he's definitely not.
And
it's hard for me to say this because I don't want to get us in trouble, but I kind of want to give him permission.
Oh my god!
Well, it's on you. This is your call.
So he,
we'll think about it.
He did say in college he did make a bunch of Hitler and Nazi jokes in college, and then all his college friends were like, "Hey, man, that's not cool," and he would be like, "No, it's okay because I'm Jewish." And that was the problem. Was that when he got into politics, he was like, "Yeah, I'm Catholic." And then a bunch of his like old friends were like, I always thought that dude was Jewish. He always said he was Jewish. And then the press
I'm culturally Catholic.
That's kind of what he kind of tried to do.
That's still his stance. He still says that he didn't lie about that. And he's always said that, because his mother has like a background that's Jewish, then that's obviously like, but at the same time, he spoke at a U.S.-Israel PAC meeting with which Benjamin Netanyahu was present at, and like a bunch of other Trump was there, I believe. Like all these big like Zionists were at this event, and he tells them, he starts it off by saying Shabbat Shalom, and then he gets he tells them all that he's Jewish. It's remarkable. No one does that but him. It's crazy.
He's
holy shit.
No one's doing it like him. No one is doing it like him.
before he does any event, he prepares lies. He doesn't prepare to tell the truth. He goes in ready to lie.
I feel like part of it he got away with it because like he's like pro-Zionist, so like AIPAC and the ADL and stuff are like, fuck it, let him say he's Jewish. Who cares?
Yeah. No one like called him out. Like none of the traditional like organizations. But it's. I mean, as we all know, you're right about the like ADL. They don't really care about like actual anti-Semitism. They just care about
they
Zionism.
showed their hand on that with Elon, like
absolutely
tenfold. So
I think you're 1 billion% correct, Caleb, because as we are seeing during this iteration of Israel's war, Israel is also, on top of being like an ethno state, they're also very fucking weird, and they don't recognize when they're being weird sometimes, which is why we got the sperm jacking webcomic video.
Still, that was still one of the most bizarre like propaganda, like just pieces of propaganda I think I've ever seen in my life.
Just for the listener at home who may not be initiated with the sperm jacking video, can we clarify this?
They're not enough. They're not online enough if you don't know about this. Yeah, Israel, apparently, this has been a rumor for a long time that Israel, in order to keep up white birth rates, will take their own fallen soldiers and put like a device into their soldiers to make them ejaculate in order to save the sperm in order to procreate more Israeli babies. This is
so weird.
They made a video about it. And in the video, the example they use is an unsuccessful sperm stealing mission. But it's that to me is a weird part about it, that they didn't even do a successful cum robbery.
Yeah, you'd expect them to pull it off.
Yeah,
and the video, it's like if you know what those like draw my life story YouTube videos are, it was like done in that style too. It was like a comic book. It was so weird. Just one of the most jarring pieces of media ever created.
And everybody does. I mean, everybody on the call, everybody at home, everybody on Twitter. We want the cum machine. We want to try the cum machine. We all want to try the cum machine. There's no reason not to want to try the cum machine.
I want the cum contraption.
If it can make a dead guy come, I just want to know. I just want to know.
Everyone's just curious.
So we already mentioned that George claimed that his staff died at a Pulse nightclub shooting. He also claimed that after speaking out against the Chinese Communist Party, that his niece was kidnapped at a playground in Chinatown in New York City.
Yes,
that's we could do an hour on each of these bullet points.
Yeah, you really could. You really could.
Well, in a way you could, but in another way you try to look into it and it's like, nope, that's just a thing he said. There's no backup. Nobody could corroborate it.
True.
Nobody else claimed it happened. There was no evidence that it happened. It's just a thing he said.
Yeah, the NYPD was immediately like, "Oh yeah, that didn't happen. Like he didn't report this. Like that's just not a thing." You know, it's like it's just like, yeah, you're right. Like immediately,
you have to know after like,
and who? Okay, so is it like who's he claiming stole his niece? Like what? Like Chinese people?
Yes, the Chinese Communist Party.
Like it was like a government operation. He was saying no. He was like, because I'm such a high-ranking like threat to the CCP. They want to kidnap my niece in broad daylight and then get caught 7 minutes later, supposedly. I mean, that's his lie. Like it makes no sense. I don't know why he said that. Other than
Xi Jinping is cowering before him.
That's America's jester, baby.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Said he was not a drag queen in Brazil. He was a drag queen in Brazil, and apparently a pretty popular one. Popular enough that he used his resume as a drag queen to catapult himself onto the Disney Channel on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody in Hannah, Montana. Of course, he was not on those things. He also claimed to be in the film The Invasion.
I needed that.
The Invasion with Uma Thurman, even though that movie stars Nicole Kidman. So I don't know.
Well, and then he also also mentioned Independence Day by Steven Spielberg, which is a movie he did not make.
That's Roland Emmerich. That's Roland Emmerich made that movie, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really cool stuff out of George.
So was he kind of got to ask the Disney stuff? Was he like trying to say like, oh, because I was a drag queen, Disney was like, come make the kids gay? Is that what
no. This was before this. So this was from a Wikipedia user biography. So
that he made
somebody who
himself.
edits Wikipedia articles that he wrote himself in 2011. So it was way before the political era.
2011.
And yeah, that's when it was. Yeah, I mean, it was like riddled with typos, and it was just all this stuff about he's had this prolific career as a drag queen and won all these gay pageants in Brazil, and then he came to America and was in movies and Disney and all this, and it's all a lie. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
the drag queen stuff.
True.
Obviously, there is footage of, but everything else, it's just it's so bizarre. It's such a random thing to say that you did. And then also, I'm sure I don't know if you mentioned the Spider-Man musical that he said he was.
I didn't, but it's insane.
We just talked about.
We talked about it in the last episode. We talked about the Spider-Man musical.
Okay. Good. I'm just making sure that your
But I didn't put it in the slideshow. But yeah, we're very familiar with the Spider-Man musical.
I love it. Yeah,
we talked about it at length last week. But, yeah, he claims that he was a financier for Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, a musical which very famously lost a lot of money. So why would you lie about having financed it?
It's awesome. People like got hurt on that too. There were like several injuries.
Somebody died.
I did not.
He lost all of his dog money in that, man.
Sad, yeah. He had to go steal some more dogs after that.
You wouldn't think that I conned a bunch of Amish guys out of some dog money in order to fund a Broadway musical would be somebody's life story.
God damn.
And it's not his, but he wants us to believe that it is.
I'm choosing to believe it. I also just halfway through this slide, I didn't realize we were still on the non-criminal
These are still lies non-criminal continued.
Oh my god.
Yeah, none of this is what he's being indicted for. This is just the fun stuff. Again, it's just for fun.
And he also claims he was targeted for assassination multiple times between his election and the time he was sworn into office.
Yeah. He said he was mugged and had his shoes stolen off his feet. Very funny visual.
See, now this one I can believe. I can believe this one because he looks kind of nerdy. I feel like you could stuff him in a locker.
It's true, except it just happened in high school, and he's getting it out now. He's just now processing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't put a lot of detail into the crimes, but I think each of them actually speaks a lot of volumes about what was going on over at the Santos.
We're finally into the crime zone.
Okay, let me just get ahead of this. This first one, the second half of it shouldn't be a crime. That should be totally legal. Cut him some slack here.
George is all about self-care. George really cares for himself. He takes care of his body's a temple, and he worships it. He did use campaign funds for personal travel and Botox. So
is that really a crime? Come on.
No,
he looks great. Look at him.
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, he needed it. It's worth it.
Everyone gets a little Botox these days. Is that really a crime? Is it really a crime to get Botox these days?
Well, it's very funny because this was one of those things where it's not actually a crime to get Botox with campaign funds. He just didn't report it properly.
Yes. Politicians use campaign money, which you're not supposed to do, obviously. That in itself, to use campaign dollars for personal stuff, it's obviously a crime, but politicians get around it all the time, whether it be like leadership PACs or like a 501c4. And that was his problem, is that he set up a regular business, and maybe you also mentioned this later, I'm not sure, but he set up a regular business and then told donors that it was a 501c4 when it was not. And so they gave money to it, and then he used that money for his personal stuff, and that's what he's probably going to jail for. because he did not properly register it as a 501c4, and he also didn't it wasn't like registered with the IRS or anything like that. If he had gone through the proper methods, he could have gotten away with it. He could have done all the stuff he wanted to do, got all the Botox and OnlyFans that he was like, really wanted, and still been fine, but it's just the way he just didn't do his research. He just thought like, oh, politicians commit crime. I commit crime. I can do that.
And that's the funny thing too, is like when like a lot of his crimes started coming out, I was like, oh wait, politicians do this, politicians do that. Like, but it's like, he didn't lie the right way.
Exactly.
He lied the George Santos way, which is great if you're not like a politician who will get caught and go to jail. It's good if you're like trying to steal money from dogs and dog owners, but not when you're in Congress.
No, they're gonna look into it, unfortunately for him. Yeah.
George Santos embodies the philosophy that there's no such thing as halfway crooks. He does not. If he can commit a crime, he will. If he has the option to do it illegally, he will choose to do it against the law. As long as he is alive, absolutely. He will live illegal.
and to that, he truly is the like moniker, be gay, do crimes.
Yeah.
He is living that reality.
Yeah, 100%. That's in his DNA.
Back in like 2007 or something, he committed like $24,000 of unemployment fraud, claiming he didn't have a job when he did.
Also should be legal.
I mean, no dogs were stolen during that time.
He was collecting keeping the dogs. They were paying him for paying the protection money for dogs.
Yeah, this was before he killed a dog.
Yeah.
This was before that. He's got a long and complicated relationship with the canine family. He used campaign funds to. Now, this is what you can't do. You can't buy luxury goods and pornography with campaign funds. And he bought Hermes. He bought like an entire Hermes line or something. It wasn't just like a bag. And a bunch of OnlyFans, including a woman who claims she gave George Santos a dick rating. Will not tell us what she rated his dick, though.
Yeah, that was when that news came out. It was really funny. Like I'm assuming some of the people that claimed that like he paid their OnlyFans were like lying. But like at this point, it's like who knows what's real or not?
I don't care.
Exactly.
She probably is fucking lying for clout.
Some of them must be.
I think at least one of them. Like the first one I saw, I think that.
What's the Cybersmith line? It feels true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so right.
It does. It feels real.
He gets it. He honestly gets it. That guy. Used personal information of his donors to open credit cards. Now this
that's
is
pretty
really
that's also what he's going to jail for. 100%. That is what
really good
fucked
stuff.
Up. Yeah, it's over. He literally, they have like the House Ethics Committee, I believe, were the ones that said that. Yeah, he spent like. Like he would just slide money from from donors, like from their credit cards into his bank account. Like he would send himself like payments of like $12,000 at a time to his own bank account, his personal one. And it's like he's creating a paper trail that's obviously going to be used against him. It's going to be like a layup.
Do you think no one's going to ask about $12,000?
Huh?
Like he thinks no one's going to like miss that money? That's insane.
Exactly.
And you do it twice. You do it twice. The FBI is like, all right, what do these two people have in common? Oh, they both donated to George Santos's campaign. You do it twice and you're fucked. And he did it like 15 different times. It was like just a bunch of donors who were just like, literally like used their information to open new credit cards. He was really wheeling and dealing with personal information to such a degree that we don't really know everything he did yet. But it was like it was not a little bit of crime he was committing on that one.
No, he's going hard with that. Just acting like it would not come back to bite him. It's just insane. It's insane that he's like, I can do this. I can get away with it. I've gotten away with everything else in my life, I guess. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. He just lied. His entire resume when he got to Congress was like all a lie, like where he went to school, his grades, everything, which is perjury. You can't like lie to the Congress in like sworn like statements and stuff. That's a felony, lying to the Congress. Took loans for his campaign and loaned or from his campaign to himself. On top of the credit card fraud, was also borrowing money from his own campaign.
Yeah.
See, grand larceny doesn't sound that bad until you like explain what that is. Like, grand larceny sounds pretty cool. That one shouldn't be a crime either.
Yeah.
I gotta say, these crimes are either things that should be legal or are so boring that I think he should just be innocent.
He should, you know what they should do is, he should either stay in the Senate or they should cut him a deal where he just becomes, as we mentioned before, the jester.
Yeah.
That he'll just live the life of a jester.
Jester's privilege. Like you get,
jester's
if
life.
you get $12,000 stolen from you by George Santos, the government will have to reimburse you, but it could happen.
Rolling the dice on paying out George Santos. And the Harbor Bridge Ponzi scheme. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. So of all the things that he said he was involved in but wasn't involved in, I mean, like there was Goldman Sachs and all of his like dealings on Wall Street that turned out not to be real. He was involved with a couple organizations, and there was one that now I'm blanking on the name, but he went from that. He was very brief. He was there for a brief period of time, and then he went to Harbor Bridge, which was exposed as a Ponzi scheme. And he was not found to have been involved, of course, like legally, like on paper, like they say, like he wasn't like indicted on that or whatever. And he says he had nothing to do with the Ponzi scheme, but it was very clearly a Ponzi scheme that was using YouTube videos to try and like convince people that, if you invest with us or whatever, you'll get like double-digit returns or whatever. It was so low level, like such obvious, like, crimes are being committed there, that I find it hard to believe that he just did not know. I mean, that's obviously the perfect place for someone like him to work. But he still maintains that he had no idea that it was a Ponzi scheme while he was there. But
did he like make money from this? Like how
I don't
was
know.
he?
He wasn't there very long to my knowledge. Yeah, he was not like one of the main guys like perpetuating this Ponzi scheme. I'm not even really sure what his position was. There's not like a whole lot known about that.
Okay. So was he like in the downstream? Like what do you call it? Like the downline, or was he involved with the organization? Because I've actually never heard of this.
I really
scheme.
don't. All of the stuff on that, it's very like brief. He was just there as an employee, really. And then just the organization. I think he was already gone by the time that it was found out to be a Ponzi scheme.
So he's innocent, is what you're saying.
He's innocent. Yeah, he didn't do anything wrong, basically.
I think by the end of this episode, we're going to find out that he is not guilty. They should let him go.
The woke left is after him, and he's trying to expose the deep state.
Exactly.
It's the only logical conclusion we're going to be able to come to by the end of this.
Yeah.
They're going to refer to this episode in court when they're finally doing the court case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you also mentioned the Devolder organization on this at all.
Okay.
But
so
that was like
I don't really. Yeah. So
that was another thing that he did cite multiple times on the campaign trail. He kept calling it different things. So there was this big question of like what it was. He said it was like his family's business that dealt with like finances up to like $80 million or something like that. And of course that was a lie because his family does not come from money. And so the real question, and but on his finances, he would report like he had like $750,000 salary from this Devolder organization. Right. And they still don't really know where that $750,000 came from. And there's a great clip with him and Matt Gaetz on his podcast. And Matt Gaetz just asks him, he's like, yeah, so where did the money come from? Like just very like point blank, where did the $750K come from? And he's like, well, I'll tell you where it didn't come from. And that's China and Ukraine and blah, blah, blah. And then Matt Gaetz' response is like, oh, well, that's an answer. And then they just move on. It's a big mystery. And then the address of the Devolder organization, besides the fact that it doesn't have a public LinkedIn page, the address of that thing was it was in a strip mall in Florida. And it was, and this again claims to deal with like millions and millions of dollars. Their location was like at a mailbox store, right next to a Dollar General and a Chinese takeout place. This is from what I've seen. So it doesn't seem to be a real thing, and there's still question of like where did all of that money come from that he like loaned his campaign. It's like $700,000. Yeah,
that's so Jimmy McGill coded.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it really is.
So those are the
I don't know.
Those are the crimes. This is Os Crimes, the crimes that he did in Brazil. Which the Devolder thing, that was kind of like, wasn't part of that having something to do with Brazil, the scam on that?
I don't think so, because the scheme that happened in Brazil, he was like much younger. He was like 19, 20. Oh, okay. And I don't think he started citing the Devolder organization until he was like on the campaign trail.
Yeah, so it seems from it seems that the earliest crime that we can find a record of him committing was stealing a dying man's checkbook from his mother's job. She was like an at-home nurse for an elderly man, and he stole the checkbook and like forged checks after the man died.
He racked up about like $1,300 and $1,300 buying like luxury items for his boyfriend at the time, and then there's like evidence of him pleading with the store owner on social media, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll pay you the money back." And so he admitted to it. He admitted to doing the fraud in front of prosecutors at the time. But then when they tried to subpoena him, he was out of the country and he was in America.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that story for the first time, because they were like, yeah, they like want him to go to Brazil, but like in a bad way.
Yeah.
Come to Brazil. We're going to prosecute you.
Yeah, exactly. And he did end up having to plead guilty and pay like a small fine for that. But I mean, the thing is, he keeps like claiming that he's committed no crimes whatsoever anywhere, whether it's here or Brazil. But it's like the evidence that he committed crimes, like that he did this in Brazil, is like so abundant. Like he very obviously did it. And then at the time, he also weirdly told prosecutors that he was a white professor at the time, and that was also something that came from like the police records.
And when they asked him about that, he said, "Well, what about Elizabeth Warren?" Like just immediately. He's so good. He's so good.
See, he has that one in the chamber,
dude.
Yeah, locked and loaded.
God damn. Again, with having that ready to go like that, innocent.
Yeah. And then the other thing that's on this slide here that I thought was hilarious when I was just reading about it, because I didn't know about this until I started researching. But his lawyer at the time had literally served. He was convicted and served jail time for being involved in like a gang execution, and he was on house arrest at the time that he
his lawyer was a murderer, basically.
It's like, I don't know how he found him. I don't know why that's the guy he chose.
Hey, cousin George, I've got the perfect lawyer for you. He's behind bars for a murder, but he's good people, I promise.
Fucking Lionel Hutz ass attorney. Jesus Christ, dude.
He has the best guys. Oh my god,
knows the best people. Yeah. It's great. And then also this is something I meant to mention earlier about Goldman Sachs. But one of the other times he was in court, he had to show up in court in 2017 for like one of his friends had committed ATM fraud. He like testified, and that's where the first time was that he was like, oh yeah, he told a judge that he worked at Goldman Sachs, which again they could have looked into it right then and found out that he was lying to a judge, and they didn't. But that friend later told the media and I think told police that George was the one who taught him how to skim ATMs.
was that like his first taste of a lie? Was like he like lied for the first time? And was like,
no
way, I have to get another fucking hit.
This goes back to like
get another hit.
He started lying early on. I think this guy's been lying for a good long time.
That could have been the start of his professional
the Michael Jordan of lying
when he went pro. Yeah, he is.
All right, so I pulled a couple clips of some antics, and today was a good day to do it because we've got 3 different things to talk about from today alone. George has been feeding us
just today. Oh my god,
that's crazy.
So this happened today on Capitol Hill. This is Representative.
I saw this shortly before we started.
Oh my god!
This is Representative Max Miller, Republican from Ohio. He says of George Santos that he's a crook. Santos claps.
You, sir, are
Here's
a crook.
Mr.
I know I
Miller.
should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back. My colleague wants to come up here, call me a crook. Same colleague who's accused of being a woman beater. Are we really going to ignore the facts that we all have passed and we all have the media coming out against us on a daily basis? I can go and read about all my colleagues. I'm not going to stand here to spear them. I'm not going to stand
Jesus Christ. Who amongst us this?
here and use the time I have to say ill things about my colleagues. I refuse to stoop to that level.
He's like, yeah, you might be a woman beater, but I'm not gonna say anything about you. Like we all have past. we all passed. You might be a woman beater, but like let's chill a little bit.
Yeah, but I stole puppies. You know?
That's like when Matt Gaetz was like, "You remember Tucker when I brought the girl to dinner?" And Tucker's like, "No, the fuck, I don't remember that."
Oh yeah,
No, absolutely, no, I do not. No, I do not know what happened there.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So that was George said that today, and as we sort of alluded to earlier, Madison Cawthorn tried this shit too. And that's when the cousin humping video came out. I really like. I don't know what videos they have of George Santos and what George Santos has done in his life. I can't imagine doing what he's doing, knowing the kind of man I believe him to be. This is today on CSAN.
I feel like it can't be whatever they have on him. I would be shocked if they had something worse than him fucking his cousin. Like I would be shocked.
But they didn't actually have sex. It was just like bro-y more than I don't know. What's a couple?
They were just humping each other.
Dudes rocking.
It was dudes rocking.
Yeah, it was.
It's like the cousin walk.
Yeah.
Basically, they were there. That was their version of the cousin walk.
I said it at the
Didn't
time.
Giuliani marry his cousin?
Giuliani married his cousin.
Wasn't that a thing? Yeah, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Rudy Giuliani married his second cousin in the 60s, and friend of the show, Chris James, calls him probably twice a week on his radio show to give an incredibly long wind-up, which is ostensibly some sort of sympathetic Republican rant, and always ends it with, or like, something weird like marrying your cousin. That's the not even a show YouTube channel. It's funny every fucking time.
We have George here on C-SPAN with a visual metaphor pulling up behind him.
Because if I leave, they win. If I leave, the bullies take place. This is bullying. The chair of the committee putting out a motion to introducing it and not calling it privilege is designed to force me to resign. But he didn't even have the fortitude to go ahead and call the privilege. He had someone else do it. Someone who's actually just recently done one on me, which is Congressman D'Esposito. So the reality of it is it's all theater. It's theater for the cameras. It's theater for the microphones. It's theater for the American people at the expense of the American people because no real work's getting done.
he is so right. Like, they're not actually after him; they're after all of us. He's just in the way. I think he's the one standing up for us.
He literally tweeted that. He
did.
I know. He's such a king. I love it.
He did. Somebody said, I wish I can't recall who said it, but somebody said, no, you are a gay congressman drag queen accused of identity theft from your donors. I'm pretty sure that people are coming after you for reasons completely independent of me. Which is, yeah. So he's this is another thing he put out today as well.
Hey boys and girls, trust the science. 2 genders.
Hey boys and girls, trust the science.
The way he says girls. Hey girls. he says GWOL or no GOWL.
He is so gay he can't even say girls right. He's doesn't even concern himself with the word.
Well, it's such a bizarre video to put out literally hours before he's going to get kicked out of Congress. It's like, why are you concerned about this? You're about to lose your job.
He's just having a good time. He's hanging out. He loves doing theater. He loves putting on a show.
And this thing does say Marjorie Taylor Greene on it, right? Follow Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, it says Marjorie Taylor Greene on it, and she called him a sodomite or a Jewish space laser something, right? She was like,
oh, did she?
No, they're buddies.
Are they buddies?
Yeah, they're buddies.
I thought he
they are,
but I thought he made fun of her for the Jewish space laser thing.
No, they're actual buddies. I'll send a picture after we're done recording. But there's like multiple pictures of them like hanging out, laughing together. They're like she's his only ally in Congress.
An unholy alliance.
What about Lauren Boebert? Is Lauren Boebert still with him? Does she stand by his side?
I don't know about her.
Fake she James. Probably does. I've seen them together, and also Matt Gaetz. Those are kind of the big three that he's got.
Matt Gaetz,
the Nazi, the pedophile, and the public.
Every crew has. The Nazi, the pedophile, the gay liar,
and the public masturbator.
Public hand job.
That's good.
Oh my fucking God.
Dear Lord.
Oh.
This is the
I love these guys.
This is the tweet where he is holding the baby and somebody says, "Is that your baby?" He said, "Not yet." The tweet here. I think it's worth looking at.
I forgot.
Not yet.
You could just picture the Hanna-Barbera bongo sound as he's running away with that baby. This is Matt Gaetz's. So this is Matt Gaetz's defense of. This is Matt Gaetz's defense of him today. This is what Matt Gaetz said.
Oh no!
In his defense,
Mr. Speaker, whatever Mr. Santos did with Botox or OnlyFans is far less concerning to me than the indictment against Senator Menendez, who's holding gold bars inscribed with Arabic on them from Egypt while he is still getting classified briefings today. But he's not getting thrown out of the Senate.
What?
He's getting classified briefings under indictment for bribery. But what? Because Santos was buying Botox and OnlyFans, we got to throw him out?
That's the defense.
No, he's actually right, though.
They can make him look, though. That's what they say.
It's a pretty low ceiling.
The fact that
Bob Menendez is a clown. I mean, that guy's got to go too, obviously. But like the idea that like George Santos should stay in the House because Bob Menendez has a Batman villain vaults in his basement or whatever. It's like fucking. None of us want any of these people. What the hell, man?
I do love how the way that some Congress people do these crimes is so comical. Like the fact that, like, going back to Menendez real quick, he literally has gold bars. He like literal bars. I think that's just incredible. Like it's goofy. It's just like it's you can't write that shit.
Yeah.
So
and I think George just epitomizes that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just I have this whole interview here, which I would recommend our listeners watch this interview. It's a very entertaining 33 minutes. This is News Nation, which is an extremely far-right news channel, which should be an extremely friendly interview for George Santos. And he and the interviewer get into arguments multiple times. I'm just going to skip ahead a little. Like, I'm just going to skip to a random spot just to see, like, the tenor of it is just tense the entire time. All right, I'm actually going to explain what happens because it is slow. But, like, even the guy is like, yeah, but if you're going to get expelled from Congress, don't you think the voters are going to come out to vote against you? Like, don't you think that's a possibility? And George gets all flustered. It's a very, like, funny thing because he can't even maintain, like, he wants to fight. Like, George is in there to square up against them. And in this CNN interview here, he gives an absolute banger of a defense for his antics.
Did you not list your income properly here?
All I can say is, first, no, that's not true. Second, were there mistake made on those forms? I know they were. Were they malicious? No. And I'm a new candidate, and I'm sorry that like mistakes were made. But here's another thing. Every time somebody suspects there's a mistake on your ethics report, you know what happens? The ethics committee reaches out and said, hey, this looks funky. Guess what happened? That never happened.
So he's just a small bean. He's never done this before. He doesn't know how this paperwork. Yeah. He's so
just a birthday boy.
Were there mistakes made? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, they were mean to me. They're bullies.
Which is a solid defense. I'm on his side. He's not wrong.
What we're learning is we're always on his side. He's never wrong. He's always in the right about these things.
Not that I've seen.
And I can't help but stand a BPD queen. I think that he has really embodied. I think he's going to say something equally insane here in a second. The CNN one was really wild.
His face is so
I've acknowledged that, not my income on the forms.
Yeah,
I've acknowledged that. Manu, I didn't understand the forms. That's just plain and simple.
But you filled out
with some help, but most of them, yes.
I'm wondering yourself is running a campaign. You're putting this a lot on the treasurer. You're the chief of the campaign.
That's not true.
You're not, but you're in charge, right?
No, that's not true.
Should the buck stop at you? Is my question.
Well, the buck should stop at the candidate. That's true.
Really good, really good. So he says it's not his fault that his campaign committed a bunch of crimes. And it's not his fault, but of course, as the candidate, he takes complete responsibility.
Also, really quick, totally unrelated to George Santos.
That was a really good verbal sparring session, frankly.
Yeah.
Also, this is entirely unrelated to George Santos specifically from that clip, but why did that CNN host sound like Oscar the Grouch? Like, that's all I could think of during that.
I did leave some sources here, including your video, Aubrey. But this image that you sent me of just like these 50 different things he's being like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it really puts it into perspective, I think, when it's that visual like that.
Yeah. Lied about getting a master's at NYU. We didn't talk about that. Lied about his appointment at Linkbridge Investors. We didn't talk about that. 2 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of materially false statements to the FEC. It's just like so many different things. He's really not. No one else is doing it the way George is doing it right now. Nobody else is on top.
He's a Sigma.
He is. Anybody who claims to be on a grind set really needs to figure out what George is doing, because George is really changing the game. He's a new type of liar that we haven't seen before, and in a way, he's a very old type of liar. He is like the old timey 1800s con man. But he's doing it today. He could, I think, and you sort of put this at the end of your video, saying like, "Is this the last we see of him or not?" I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see the next arc of what he's got to show us, because.
What do you think he's gonna do?
Start a podcast in jail.
Him and Donald Trump just
called
just hanging
Sellies.
out, just the two. He might, free idea for you guys.
He might go back to being an actor on Disney Channel. We don't know. He could make.
Maybe he'll do a dog charity.
Yeah, he could go back to being. Running that charity. He's got a lot of career options. After he gets kicked out, but he's got to do them quick before he goes to jail next year, because his trial date is set for September of 24, and that's ultimately why for the longest time he kept saying he was going to run for re-election until the House Ethics Committee came out with their latest report, and he's like, never mind, because he would have absolutely had to have that would have been 2 months before the election, and I think he knows that it's not looking good for him. So I don't know. He's not going away. I think he's definitely a man of showman.
You know what I really like for him?
Yeah.
You know what I could see really like a really good move for his future? Defecting to Russia. That could
hell yeah.
That's a really good next step, is to defect.
That would be
Russia.
so sick, dude.
The next season of George Santos.
Well, I don't know what he's going to do next, but I can tell you what I have started. And the reason that I got quiet there for a little bit during this episode was I started looking into and am now debating filing the $40 fee to start the George Santos Innocence Project here in Washington State as a nonprofit. So if any of you guys want to be on the board, I do need some board members.
George Santos Innocence Project.
Yeah, I would love to support
put
this.
me down.
Your Patreon dollars at work, everybody.
We're gonna get him free.
Yep.
He's gonna become a co-host of this podcast.
Yes, you have to get him on.
Dude's
that would be delicious.
You have to have him.
I do think that a good place we could see George Santos' story sort of turn is on a defection to Russia. I think he could defect and become a dissident, Tara Reid, Edward Snowden style.
I want him to go to North Korea. I want him to be the reverse. Fuck,
so
I have a genius. Okay, this is what he has to do. You know how we have Yeongmi Park in America? He should be North Korea's Yeongmi Park.
Oh my god, that's it.
That would be the perfect job for him, because he can just make up stuff, and then
He's so good
so
at it.
popular. Yeah, that's perfect for him.
North Korea would fucking love him. Oh my god!
And the
He would be
American
their
State
best
Department
asset.
paid for Yeonmi Park. North Korea, that's an investment for them. That's
Yeah,
money in the
for
bank
sure.
for them.
He would pay for himself within 2 days.
And he wouldn't have to
God,
lie.
I want that. but here's the thing with him is he wants
gonna
to.
lie.
He wants
He's
to
gonna
lie.
lie.
He has
He's
to lie.
gonna lie.
He would get
He
executed
does-
by a
he's-
general within 3 months.
No.
I think he would be
maybe don't do
married to
that.
Kim Jong-un in 3 months. That's what I think.
It's a coin toss, man.
He would seduce him. Yeah. All his charm. I think he could do it.
He does have charm.
He does.
He just needs to get really into basketball, and he would have.
Pick up the ball, George.
dribble the ball. But I think if he doesn't do that, he should run for president in America or something, as a third party. I would love that.
Yeah, everybody in this call I know would support him wholeheartedly.
Oh my god, I would donate.
George, you're
to him.
invited
Yeah.
on this show at any time. We need more presidential candidates who want to discuss their policies with us. So George, if you're available.
Friend of the show, George Santos.
All right. Well, thank you so much again to Jay, Aubrey.
Jobby, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah. Other than the my George Santos videos I just put out, go watch that. My channel is J Aubrey. My Twitter is @JAubreyYT. That's pretty much all I've got.
watch his other videos too. They're all really, really informative. And
yeah, I mean,
I learn a lot from your channel.
Pearl video was so fucking good.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I've said it on the show, but just that part where she says that she watches red pill content because she has low self-esteem. I was just like, I cannot believe she said this. I can't believe she did this. I cannot believe. I was shocked
when I found that clip. I was just sitting there with my mouth open for a little bit because she just said it. It's like that's something we all knew, but for her to spell it out like that, it's like
I felt like I was living the experience of what you must have lived watching what I assume is just sped up Pearl content just to get through as much of it as you can, and then just for her to just like in one of them just be like, yeah, I just don't like myself and I don't think I'm attractive. And it's like, oh my God, what? Wait, why did she say that?
Just so casual, It'd be sad if she wasn't just a horrible person. But,
yeah. Sadly, I mean, maybe not sadly, but she just is one of the worst people. Yeah. So it's okay. It's okay to make fun of her.
It's totally.
I'll keep it a buck. When I saw that, I fucking died laughing.
That's fair too.
Not a perfect person, but that shit fucking killed me. Like, yeah, welcome to the team, dude. Not all of us turn into fucking psychopaths.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, thanks again for coming.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. Always a good time.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Western Kabuki. We have another episode on the Patreon this week in which Whack, Caleb, and June interview presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. Whatever you think about her, she is incredibly fascinating and an incredibly good talker, and it was a great conversation. So you should check it out. That's patreon.com/westernkabuki. And again, if you go there, you will get an ad-free feed and bonus episodes. That's patreon.com/westernkabuki. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.